Welcome back to our Iliad podcast. You just finished reading a sympathetic portrayal of the Trojan home front in Book 6, and are likely questioning why Achilles is said to be the hero of this epic in the first place, because Hector is a model warrior with a doting family and adoring community. The next two books that we don't read, 7 and 8, will humanize Hector and illustrate why the Greeks will need Achilles. We've seen Hector's strength, love, and likely irreparable mistake in Book 6, but in Book 7, we get to see what he does next on the battlefield with the epic's next duel. The gods Apollo, supporting the Trojans, and Athena, supporting the Greeks, agree to stop the ongoing slaughter by arranging a duel between the greatest warriors on both sides. Hector, the Trojan champion, steps forward and challenges any Greek warrior to single combat. The Greeks hesitate at first, but eventually Ajax the Greater, the towering Greek hero, is chosen by the lot to face Hector. Hector and Ajax fight fiercely, but neither is able to claim victory. Both warriors demonstrate immense strength and skill. As the duel stretches on, nightfall approaches, and heralds from both sides call for the fight to end in a draw. The duel concludes with mutual respect between Hector and Ajax. After the duel, the two armies agree to a temporary truce to bury their dead. The Greeks also take this time to strengthen their fortifications by building a defensive wall around their ships. Back in Troy, Antenor suggests returning Helen to the Greeks to end the war, but Paris refuses. Instead, Paris offers to return the treasure he took along with Helen. This offer is, as you might guess, rejected by the Greeks during the truce negotiations. Overall, the gods and Hector tried to balance the war effort toward a close, but we end up where we started. Neither is willing to budge, even with the wishes of the gods. The tides just may turn again in the next book. Where our last podcast ended with glory for the Greeks, this one will end with the Trojans' upper hand and another epic battle starring Zeus's thunderbolt. Zeus, determined to enforce his will that the Trojans gain the upper hand in the war for a time, he forbids the gods from interfering in the battle. He descends to Mount Ida to observe the fighting and ensure that the Trojans are victorious. With Zeus's support, the Trojans gain the upper hand in the battle. Hector, emboldened by Zeus's favor, leads a fierce attack on the Greeks, driving them back toward their ships. The Greeks struggle to hold their ground, and their situation becomes increasingly desperate. Despite Zeus's command, Hera and Athena, of course, attempt to intervene to help the Greeks. However, Zeus sends Iris, the messenger goddess, to warn them to cease their involvement, threatening severe consequences if they disobey. To demonstrate his power, Zeus hurls a thunderbolt to the battlefield, terrifying the Greek soldiers and forcing them to retreat. Hector, seeing the Greeks in disarray, drives the Trojans forward, and the Trojans begin to press their attack toward the Greek ships. As night falls, the battle ends for the day, with the Trojans camping outside the Greek fortifications. Hector vows to set fire to the Greek ships the following day, confident that victory is near. The Greeks are in a state of absolute panic as they prepare for another day of fighting, knowing that they are on the verge of defeat. Nestor advises that they send an envoy to Achilles, asking him to return to the battlefield. Of all of the books that we haven't read so far, this is one I wish we had time for. It is perfectly primed for cinematic glory and reader adrenaline, and I encourage you to read it sometime for yourself. The Greeks are finally desperate enough to bring back their secret weapon. Books 7 and 8 depict the growing dominance of the Trojans under Hector's leadership and Zeus's support, while the Greeks, despite their best efforts, are pushed back and they face desperate situations. The tension builds as the Greeks realize they need Achilles to turn the tide of the war. Let's see if they're successful. Thanks for listening. Find your page numbers for Book 9 to witness Achilles' return to the narrative. Enjoy!